Mr. Raycock, if you would, please approach the podium. Just 1 second.
Yes, sir.
First, I want to apologize. We started without going to our agenda card, and you did, in timely fashion, did present your agenda card to speak against items number 4 and items number 8. So we'll first start with item number 4, and then we'll get back into rotation where I'll allow the directors to ask their questions. But if you would, you have the time allotment to speak against item number 4.
Thank you, Mayor. I heard what the assistant city manager said about DePaul and Jericho Way, and I couldn't disagree more. That DePaul's operation of that facility is lacking. It's open from 8 to 2. It's at the edge of town, and the director of that, as I've spoken on the board before and blogged about, she's made false claims that she was kidnapped. She even filed a police report against me because I made a blog about her claiming she used white heterosexual privilege to stop abuse by a police officer. Now, I sent an FOI request to the police department, and it came back she'd never filed a complaint about any officer, and they had no information about any kind of kidnapping. And I'm sure that Assistant Chief Falk could tell you if we had a kidnapping of someone with a Christian charity, that would have been front page news. But that's the type of people that you have running this particular organization. Now, as Director Richardson brought up in the last meeting, I don't believe that anybody in the area, I believe this is in Ward 1, which is Director Hendrick's ward, there weren't any community meetings come in. And, you know, the last time they did this, the community raised 4 kinds of heck with the home that they bought from the one. I think that the city needs to not give this public land to a private entity that requires contracts and pledges of prayer before these people are served. And, you know, we have to realize that not everyone that's houseless is a Christian, and they shouldn't be forced to have to follow these protocols with that. And again, I believe that you need to have some input from the neighborhood. There should have been some kind of meetings. I don't know if notices were sent out. I don't think there were any kind of things like that, because there are concerns that people have. Not that these people are dangerous or anything like that, but anytime that you have things where people could see this, and I think it might have been mischaracterized in the last time that it was a halfway house or something like that. We need to be trying to belay these concerns and deal with it openly, transparently, to engage the community so that we can have homeless things. You know, the city claims it's a city of compassion. Last year, y'all passed that, and at the same time, the Little Rock Police was targeting From His Thrones Ministries that was down on Markham. There were all kinds of allegations that were totally unfounded, and the former befouled chief never recanted those. And we stopped the feedings under the bridge. Director Compuris was quoted in the paper saying that if you think giving a little bit of food to people makes a difference, then you're mistaken. And I think that the doctor, well, doctor, it was in the paper, and I've posted it on the blog, and I can't believe that the Democrat Gazette would misquote you in that. But I think the city, y'all need to look in the mirror and ask if we're doing all that we can do for these folks that need our help, because a lot of people are one paycheck or one government subsidy from being homeless. Thank you for your time.
Director Hendricks.
Thank you. My comment has to do with resolution number 4. What I want to say is that the action of this resolution took place, and as it has been mentioned in Ward 1, I hope that this is the first time, and I hope that this never happens again. People just come in as if, I realize I'm a black female, okay? I always have to remind the audience that color makes a difference when you're sitting up here. And I want to really be a part of what's about to happen with these lots over in Ward 1. Everybody can sit here quiet and everything, but I could talk about racism for hours up here. A lot of us are afraid to talk about it. I've been doing it for 60 years with NAACP, and I don't think I'll ever stop. But if you will make sure that whatever other action happens with these lots, that I'm a part of it.
Yes, ma'am, and I'll ask, we'll make certain of that. And
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Assistant City Manager, let's have a discussion after the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And one point I'd also like to make, we went through a rezoning process. There were public meetings. There was information about this property, months ago.
We'll carry on. Are there any more questions? Being none, we'll move on to the next agenda card. Sorry, 1 second, Director. Director Richardson.
Well, it may be premature, Mayor. If we have another agenda card on the consent agenda, I want to ask the city attorney, I didn't have a voice voice. I just sat silently. Can I record a nay vote on the consent agenda?
The vote's supposed to be entered before the result's been announced, and with the consent of the board, you're allowed to do so if you wish to show that your vote was a negative vote.
Yes, I would.
And if the board agrees unanimously, then you're allowed to do so.
Do we have a motion to allow Director Richardson to rescind his vote to record with a nay? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Seconded. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Director Richardson just seconded it. He can.
Director Richardson has seconded the motion.
Yes, sir.
All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, please say nay. Nay. There's a roll call.
Director Hendricks? Director Richardson?
Aye.
Director Webb?
She recused herself.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
But she would not
Director
vote.
Peck? Director Hines? Director Wright? Director Compuris? Director Fordson? Vice Mayor Wyrick? 4 to 5.
So it fails.
Motion fails. We'll now move forward to agenda item number 8. As far as the agenda item card, Mr. Raycott.
Well, I think we just saw an example of Director Hendricks' racism. Now, again, these have already been voted on, so I'm up here just blowing steam, but I'm going to go ahead and talk because my rights were violated by not being able to speak appropriately before the votes were cast. Not that it would change anything, but this extension agreement that you have with the Little Rock Convention and Visitors Bureau to operate the river market, I think since the government, city government's being reorganized by the mayor, and you have all these committees, I think you need to get a committee to look at this and see if maybe you don't need to hire an individual that's an event manager, make them a city employee and let them run that river market, because frankly, this group with the Convention Bureau, they don't like freedom to respond to Freedom of Information Acts. You have to threaten and take them to court, which I have no problems doing. And they ran off one of the most long-term tenants that had 2 stores down there. Now the place is just about empty. It's a good thing they gave favor to David Burgers, because otherwise you wouldn't have hardly anything down there. But they had issues with sewage that they didn't take care of, air conditioning that they didn't take care of. I think you had to use porta potties outside part of the last year, and then hand sanitizer to wash your hands. I don't know how the health department let that place operate, but I'm sure there were some under-the-table dealings with former Mayor Stodola in them. But they also put up these ocean-looking waves out there, and I thought that it had been closed and made into an aquarium, and it kept where people couldn't see that you actually had restaurants and things in there. Again, I think the city should look at hiring an individual to be an event manager, make them a city employee where you have some accountability, because by the time it gets through these different committees and different groups, you've got so much going on and so distance from having somebody that's responsible for it, people just give up. And I know that this former tenant's contemplating filing some lawsuits against the city and things like that, and I'm sure that Mr. Moore or Mr. Jones, if he's still here, will be writing a big check like they have before. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Rakoff, thank you for your feedback.